The two neighbors. Ethan Parker pulled into his driveway the same way he always did, slowly, with the windows down and the radio barely audible. His old 2004 pickup truck rattled slightly when he turned off the engine. The truck had dents, faded paint, and over 250,000 miles on the odometer, but it still ran perfectly. Across the street, Ryan Cooper arrived in a brand new luxury SUV. The shiny vehicle reflected the afternoon sun as neighbors glanced over with admiration. Ryan worked in software sales and always seemed to have the newest phone, watch, shoes, and gadgets. People on the street assumed Ryan was successful and wealthy. Ethan, meanwhile, was mostly ignored. He worked as a county inspector, wore the same jackets for years, fixed things himself, and rarely talked about money. What nobody knew was that appearances were hiding two completely different financial realities. The hidden truth. Ryan's lifestyle looked impressive, but behind closed doors things were falling apart. His luxury SUV was leased, his credit cards were nearly maxed out, and every commission check disappeared before the month ended. Collection calls started arriving daily. Bills piled up on the kitchen counter. Some nights Ryan sat in the dark staring at spreadsheets, trying to figure out which payment could wait another week. Meanwhile, Ethan quietly lived a completely different life. He had paid off his house years ago, owned 2 small rental duplexes, and consistently invested money into index funds and retirement accounts. He wasn't interested in impressing anyone. Instead of spending money on things people could see, he spent decades buying assets people couldn't see. While Ryan looked rich and felt trapped, Ethan looked ordinary and lived completely free. The conversation that changed everything. One evening Ryan sat on his front steps exhausted and overwhelmed. Months of financial stress had finally caught up with him. Ethan happened to be walking his dog and noticed something was wrong. When he asked if Ryan was okay, the truth came pouring out. Ryan admitted everything: the debt, the anxiety, the sleepless nights, and the pressure of trying to maintain an image he could no longer afford. Ethan listened quietly. Then he shared a lesson Ryan would never forget. He explained that most people spend money to look successful while truly wealthy people spend money to become successful. Most people buy visible things like cars, clothes, and gadgets. Wealthy people buy invisible things like investments, equity, and cash flow. "I've got more money than I'll probably ever spend," Ethan said. "And nobody knows it. You've got almost nothing left, and everyone thinks you're rich." That sentence changed Ryan's life forever. The painful transformation. Change didn't happen overnight. Ryan made difficult decisions that hurt his pride. He voluntarily surrendered his luxury SUV, watched it get loaded onto a tow truck, and bought an older used sedan with cash. He canceled subscriptions, stopped eating out constantly, learned to cook, and began tracking every dollar. Friends laughed at him. Coworkers questioned why he suddenly became cheap. But for the first time in years, Ryan wasn't borrowing money to survive. 6 months later, he had money left over at the end of the month. A year later, he had an emergency fund. For the first time in a very long time, he slept through the night without worrying about bills. The freedom felt better than any luxury purchase ever had. The invisible millionaire. Years passed. Ryan continued investing every month. He ignored trends, avoided unnecessary debt, and focused on buying assets instead of appearances. While others upgraded cars and financed expensive lifestyles, Ryan quietly built wealth. Eventually his investments crossed 6 figures. Then several $100,000. Then one day, without any fanfare, his net worth surpassed $1 million. Nothing around him changed. He still drove a modest car. He still lived in the same house. Most people had no idea how much money he had accumulated. One evening Ryan sat with Ethan watching the sunset and asked if he ever regretted not buying nicer things. Ethan smiled and said, "I bought the nicest thing there is." Ryan asked what that was. Ethan looked down the quiet street and replied, "Freedom. The ability to wake up every day and do exactly what I want." At that moment Ryan realized the greatest secret of wealth. The goal isn't to look rich. The goal is to be free.